Yeah.
New Florida Atlantic head coach Lane Kiffin. I'm curious your thoughts on the fact that he went to Kendal Briles, who is the son of Art Briles, and we know how that ended there at Baylor, and he's now the offensive coordinator for the Owls down at FAU. What are your thoughts on the fact that Lane Kiffin, and probably the two biggest things since his hiring, DeAndre Johnson, a guy who got kicked out of Florida State for some domestic violence issues, was his first signing as a recruit, and now he's going to Kendal Briles as his offensive coordinator.
Speaking of fines, segue here to the fine that he paid, and the NCAA just cleared him last week and said that fine that Baylor paid was fine. And now, less than a week later, he's now the offensive coordinator at Florida Atlantic. I think it's going to be interesting. The program does have Jason Driscoll coming back at quarterback, a young man that threw 11 interceptions. We know what Briles is about, what Baylor's been about, that offense. Lane Kiffin says he's going to let him have full control of the offense. For Lane Kiffin, have you ever seen so much excitement over a young coach with a 40-36 career record in the NFL and the NCAA? I just think that eventually people just continue to give Lane Kiffin the benefit of the doubt, hoping that promise at 41 years old, this is his fourth head coaching job at 41 years old, that promise will finally turn into production on the football field. What I'm curious to see is what path does he go? I think we're seeing a hint here more the Tom Herman quick win route as opposed to, say, a Bob Davie at New Mexico where it took him 5 years. I think they won 10 games in his first 3 seasons at New Mexico. Finally, a 9-win season in his 5th year, and they get to a bowl game. I think that it's going to be much closer on the curve in terms of a Tom Herman type experience for Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic. I think that's the hope. 1 or 2 years, you're going to see him take maybe some risky guys, some transfers. They've got a great running back in Singletary, a freshman who ran over 1,000 yards this year for Florida Atlantic, a 5'9", 200-pound guy, much like in the mold, a smaller Derrick Henry, which we know he's accustomed to. Lane Kiffin at Alabama, power running game. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he fills and tries to win quickly. When you see that, a lot of that, the model is a lot of JUCO transfers. So I'm going to be curious to see between now and the start of camp what kind of players he uses to kind of filter out the kind of style that he wants there that can turn around and win quickly. I was just curious myself because he's had such a track record about his buyout. For those that don't know, it is $2.5 million, and then over the course of the 5-year deal, it decreases $500,000 each year. So we all know that's pennies for a blue chip program. If somehow he does pull off a Tom Herman situation and takes Florida Atlantic to great heights and turns that program around and gets attention onto the next step, because guys, look, just look at his track record. I mean, he comes into Florida Atlantic with 1 foot out the door, in my opinion. So we'll see. And he doesn't have the recruiting cachet and the benefit of that at USC, even Tennessee for that matter. So it's going to be interesting to see the approach. It's going to be definitely a true test for Lane Kiffin of his ability as a recruiter and as a head coach.